Now that I think about it, there's definitely a pattern here where getting lost somehow always involves disappointing my parents. It's like my superpower, except instead of saving the world, I just cause mild inconvenience and concern. Now, let me tell you about the time I got lost on a train, which honestly should be impossible. Trains literally go in straight lines on predetermined tracks. It's like getting lost while riding an escalator. Where on earth am I? For some context for this first story, my little brother was being picked up by my mom, which meant I had to go alone, which will be important for this first story coming right now. So here's the thing about me and trains. I have this habit of zoning out the moment I sit down. I put on my headphones, stare at my phone, and basically pretend the outside world doesn't exist. This means I'm completely oblivious to stops, announcements, and general reality, which, as you'll see, is a problem. This particular day, I needed to get to my dad's office. Now, this should have been easy mode, considering that his office building is literally like 5 massive skyscrapers with a giant logo that you can probably see from space. But I'm an idiot. But here's where things got spicy. My phone decided that today wasn't a great day, so it decided to have an identity crisis. And we were in Antarctica. No GPS, no map, just me, my anxiety, and a train going to who knows where. Well, guess I'll die. Anyways, ignore that. First stop. I get off the train, look around, see a skyscraper, and think, nailed it. Then I get close, like really close. And I realize it's a completely different building. Oh shit! I sprint back to the train at what I can only describe as breakneck speed, probably looking like I was being chased by some angry geese. Wait for me! No, 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 no! You'd think I'd learn, right? Wrong. I see another skyscraper, get off again, and discover it's a bank. A bank, not even the same species of building I was looking for. At this point, I'm having what psychologists would probably call a complete breakdown in human functioning. So I do what any rational adult would do. Please, please, please help me. This guy looks at me, looks at the little traffic manual he has, and goes, should be like 2 stops away. Should be? This man, whose literal job description includes knowing where things should be, said should be. That's like a doctor saying your symptoms should be a cold. Very reassuring. Thank you, traffic officer. But so I get back on the train, go 2 more stops, and nothing. Still not there. At this point, I'm starting to think my dad's office exists in some kind of like parallel dimension. Is my father secretly Cthulhu? Has he been running his business from the shadow realm this whole time? Finally, in complete desperation, I text my little brother, because apparently a high schooler has better navigational skills than his older brother, which is both deeply sad and completely accurate. His response, and I quote, "Dude, just stay on the train until the end of the line. That's literally it." The end of the line? I could have just sat there for 40 minutes, could have taken a nice nap, caught up on some reading, maybe done some light meditation, and arrived relaxed and on time. Instead, because I'm apparently allergic to simple solutions, I turned a 40-minute journey into an hour and 15 of pure chaos and existential dread. Oh, man. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how I managed to get lost on a vehicle that goes in literally one direction, one predetermined pathway. But wait, you haven't seen the worst one yet. Pop quiz! What's the difference between a bus and a train? If you said literally everything about them, congratulations, you're smarter than me. But in my defense, they're both long, they both usually have wheels, and they both transport people? That's basically the same thing, right? So there I was with my family, returning from a vacation. We decided to take the train home because it was the fastest and cheapest route. Simple plan, foolproof execution. Well, almost. The first red flag should have been the station itself. The second I was looking around the station, I was thinking to myself, I don't remember train stations having those digital numbers showing bus routes. And that logo looked suspiciously bus-shaped. Yeah, turns out we didn't just go to the wrong platform. We actually walked to the frickin' bus station. The actual train station was literally on the opposite side of where we entered. We were about as far from our destination as you can get while still technically being correct about the address. Time to panic? Okay. Nope. My dad in full, I'm too tired for this nonsense mode, calmly figuring out which bus we actually needed to take and how to get home without anyone having a breakdown. Thanks, Dad. Real clutch problem solving there. Now, will I claim full responsibility for this mix-up? Absolutely not. I technically had 3 other people with me who also didn't notice we were in the wrong place. Okay, maybe it was a little bit my fault considering I've been there before. Okay, fine, it was probably partly, mostly in my general fault. But in my defense, actually there's no defense. I confused a bus with a train. That's like confusing a bicycle with a helicopter. They're just not the same thing. But hey, we got home on time, grabbed some lunch, everything worked out fine. Unlike my next story, which involves me questioning the very fabric of reality. And now for the grand finale. The time I got so spectacularly lost that I started wondering if I accidentally slipped into a parallel universe where I was getting kidnapped. Picture this, fun night out with friends, very reasonable Asian parent curfew of 11:30. Totally doable. What could possibly go wrong? Everything, literally everything went wrong. Naturally, I missed the 11:30 tram, but no worries, there's an 11:43 tram. I'll just hop on that and be home only slightly late. My parents are understanding people, they'll get it. Oh! So I board this tram, headphones on, phone out, ready to zone out the familiar ride home. When you take the same route hundreds of times, it becomes muscle memory, you know? You can feel the turns, predict the stops, sense the rhythm of the journey. Which is why about 20 minutes in, my brain starts sending panic signals. We were taking way more turns than usual. The tram was zigzagging like it was trying to spell out the alphabet. I was getting dizzy just sitting there. Something doesn't feel right. I look outside and I see a factory. Now, I know that none of you actually take the same route, but you don't usually encounter industrial complexes in the middle of a city at midnight. Factories live in industrial areas, far away from where I stay. My internal monologue went something like, did this tram get hijacked? Are we getting transported to some kind of industrial wasteland? Am I about to become the star of the world's most boring horror movie? So I text my dad, trying to play it cool, you know. I think I'm gonna be late. Sorry about that. And his response? Why aren't you on the tram yet? Now, how exactly do you explain to your father that the tram you've been taking for 2 years has apparently decided to take a scenic detour through the industrial district? Hey Dad, funny story. I think I accidentally boarded the mystery machine instead of the public transportation. I'm glued to the window, desperately hoping to see anything familiar. A building I recognize, a street sign, literally any proof that I'm still on the same planet I started on. Nothing. Just factories, darkness, and my rapidly escalating existential crisis. That's when I did something desperate. I pressed the stop button. You know, that magical button that makes the tram stop so you can escape from whatever fever dream you stumbled into. Oh shit. The tram didn't stop. The tram did not stop. Ah! At this point, I'm internally writing my obituary. Here lies Noyo, who somehow got lost on public transportation multiple times and was never seen again. He probably should have paid more attention to his surroundings. Finally we reach what appears to be the end of the line. And that's when the mystery gets solved. The tram had broken down mid-route and was being taken to the maintenance workshop. The maintenance workshop? We were basically on an unscheduled field trip to the tram graveyard. I wasn't being kidnapped or transported to another dimension. I was just a victim of mechanical failure and spectacularly bad timing. The relief was incredible, but then came the next challenge, figuring out where exactly tram maintenance facility in the middle of nowhere was located. I tried reading the signs around the workshop, but apparently my brain had completely shut down for the evening. So I did what any self-respecting adult would do, and I called my dad and made him use Find My iPhone to locate his very lost adult child. 30 minutes later, Dad arrives, and we have what I would call a learning conversation. Bro, how did you get lost? It's one tram! It goes one way! How, bro? That was a lovely chat. Really brought us closer together. Nothing like shared disappointment to really strengthen that family bond. And there you have it. 3 more ways I've managed to get lost on vehicles that literally cannot deviate from their predetermined paths. At this point, I'm convinced that I have some kind of anti-navigation superpower. The moral of the story? Sometimes the problem isn't the transportation system, or the GPS, or city planning. Sometimes the problem is just you, and honestly, I've just made my peace of that. If you enjoyed watching me suffer through basic adulting, smash the like button and subscribe for more stories on questionable life choices. And hey, if you got your own "how did I get lost doing something stupid" stories, drop them in the comments. I need to know I'm not the only one doing this, please. Thank you for watching, and remember, if you can't be a good example, at least you can be a cautionary tale.